Now at 9, Fort Scott, Kansas residents are cleaning up after receiving more than a foot of rain over the weekend. Plus, debris and heavy rains combined to create a log jam on the Neosho River in Ottawa County, Oklahoma. And
heartbreak in the heartland in the wake of a deadly multi-day tornado outbreak. I'm Nicole Valdez with Fox Weather in Elkhorn, Nebraska. I'll have the latest coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Communities across the 4 states are cleaning up flood damage from weekend storms. Areas around Fort Scott, Kansas are among the worst hit by flooding. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
This was one of the worst floods we've had in a while. 1986 was the worst flood that I've ever witnessed. I've been here 54 years, and that was the worst flood where the water crested at 52 feet, and this one crested right around 47.5 feet.
Fort Scott City Manager Bradley Mackin thanks local emergency services for their assistance during the severe weather and flooding. City officials are now focusing on cleaning up.
You know, I don't think the cleanup is going to last that long. We've got a couple roads that have to be redone to repair those once we get started on them, but we have to get to that point. But the overall cleanup won't take more than a week, and we'll be back to normal business.
It's not just city and county workers dealing with the aftermath. Workers at Pete's convenience store on US 64 cleaned up over a foot of flood water.
Came down to check on the place because it was flooded really bad yesterday, and showed up, and I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but it's pretty bad.
The convenience store was in 18 inches of flood water.
We're having to pull almost every single product that was 18 inches at that 18-inch level because we have to waste it out and everything and get all the mud and everything off the floors. They have to rewire everything inside.
Residents are eager to clean up and for water levels to return back to normal because navigating across town is tricky.
Then the river overflowed down there by the bridge. It was rolling over the river, so it couldn't come down here. And I don't know, it's a mess.
Reporting in Fort Scott, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
According to the city manager, the cleanup should take less than a week. Damaged roads will be repaired. Heavy rains are also causing issues in Ottawa County, Oklahoma. This is video of the Neosho River at Twin Bridges State Park. As you can see, debris and logs have accumulated in the river for about the length of 2 football fields, causing a jam. The city of Miami says it's not aware of any plans by ODOT or the GRDA to remove the debris or close the bridge at this time. For more information about area river levels, you can go to the weather page on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment has issued a stream advisory for part of the Verdigris River because of an oil well spill. The advisory is from 75 Highway east of Neodesha, Kansas in Wilson County to the Oklahoma state line. KDHE says people should not allow children, livestock, or pets to enter the stream. The city of Fredonia, Kansas has some tips for property owners recovering from this weekend's storm. So one is to clear gutters and drains so water can flow more freely away from your home. Also, seal your windows and doors to prevent water infiltration and inspect your sump pump to make sure it can handle excess water if needed. Well, meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us now with a first look at weather.
Well, we've had some floods after all of the rain that we've seen the last couple of days. Still flood warnings in effect until early Wednesday morning and later Wednesday afternoon into the evening hours for Allen County, Neosho County, Wilson, and Woodson County as well. So keep an eye on that because we do have some more storms rolling in tomorrow night. And they have gotten a lot of rain, especially northwest of Nevada and near the Fort Scott area, nearly 15 to 16 inches of rain in the last few days. The rest of us, pink, purple, 7 to 9 inches. It starts to taper off. We get a little bit further south, but we do have more rain chances later this week. Not to mention, we've had a few touchdown tornadoes as well. So out here in the Fredonia Independence tornado area, Wichita has not done any surveying yet, but Springfield has surveyed for Stotesbury and Uniontown EF0 and an EF1 as well. We'll continue to watch the surveys for Wichita National Weather Service, and I'll have more details on storms later this week up next.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. And don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. The KOAM Skywatch weather app. At least 5 people killed, including an infant, as deadly tornadoes rip through America's heartland. Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez has more.
Severe storms continued to rage in the South and Midwest after 6 tornadoes ripped through Texas on Sunday. More than 120 tornadoes plowed through 6 states in just 2 days. At least 5 people have lost their lives, 4 in Oklahoma and 1 in Iowa. A state of emergency has been declared for 12 counties in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's governor calling it the worst he's seen since he's been in office.
You just can't believe it just hit down perfectly, just kind of destroyed this little town. It was unbelievable.
The damage truly devastating, especially in Sulphur, Oklahoma. This drone video shows what's left of the town. Officials say every business in the area appears to be destroyed.
I know that everything I've ever worked for, put together, my father, my wife, my mom, is being torn apart, and there's nothing I can do.
The National Weather Service confirming the damage from this outbreak looks to be at least of an EF3 tornado. About 43,000 customers across the state were left without power as a result.
And the house that was right beside her is right up against her back door. So it's crazy.
Meanwhile, tornadoes devastating parts of Nebraska and Iowa over the weekend as well. Those tornadoes moving for miles, ultimately slamming into towns like Elkhorn, Nebraska, just west of Omaha. Nebraska's Governor Jim Pillen declaring a state of emergency for at least 3 of the hardest hit counties to unlock state resources for those families who definitely need it. In Elkhorn, Nebraska, I'm Nicole Valdez, Fox Weather.
Well, coming up, making sure your groceries are safe.
Federal officials expand bird flu testing, but say the commercial milk supply is safe. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
Federal officials are expanding bird flu testing as outbreaks continue to pop up among cattle herds. Still, the CDC says risk to the public remains low. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more.
After reports of recent bird flu outbreaks among cattle herds, federal officials are ramping up testing to curb the spread. Starting today, the U.S. Department of Agriculture will require dairy cows be tested for the virus before moving across state lines. It comes after the FDA found remnants of the virus in commercial milk samples. Still, federal officials say the risk to the public remains low because pasteurized milk has been heated to kill bacteria and viruses.
I would not recommend anyone consume raw, unpasteurized milk.
Bird flu had been circulating among wild birds and domestic farm chickens when federal officials first detected the virus in dairy cows last month. Since then, it has spread to herds in at least 9 states. And earlier this month, Texas authorities reported a farm worker tested positive after being exposed to an infected animal.
This bird flu strain has been around for at least 10 years in some parts of the world. It hasn't yet picked up that capacity to spread readily from person to person. But recently, it's gotten into more mammals.
The CDC has asked state health officials for plans to test and treat farm workers potentially impacted by the virus. The CDC says bird flu symptoms can include muscle aches, fever, and stomach pains. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
USDA has also started testing beef, including ground beef, from grocery stores for the bird flu virus. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said it's doing 3 separate beef safety studies. They also say they are confident the meat supply is safe and there are multiple safeguards in place to protect consumers. Lindsay is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later Riverton baseball looks to stay hot as the end of the season nears with a doubleheader against Columbus.
Well, I hope everyone stayed safe this weekend. It's been a very chaotic weekend storm-wise, but luckily we are in a little bit of a lull in between storm systems. So we've got a nice sunset shot of downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Center. I haven't seen this sunset in a while. We've had storms every night for the last few nights. And we do have flood warnings still in effect. Allen County, Neosho County, Wilson, and Woodson got some flood warnings in effect until late Wednesday afternoon, not to mention the Fort Scott area as well, still in that flood advisory and flood warning in those areas. Now, we've also had a few tornadoes. Springfield has done their surveys, or has started to, and they've marked a couple tornadoes out in Uniontown, EF0, Stotesbury, EF1. So pretty weekend tornadoes, but they did go about 3 miles, had some damage to houses on the sides, shillings as well, and mostly just tree damage, trees uprooted and branches broken off. Now, Wichita has been dealing with a lot of the floods in this area, so they haven't finished their surveying yet. We did have confirmed tornado touchdowns out in Fredonia and Independence, so they have yet to do the surveys for those tornadoes, but we'll update you as those start to roll in. We've had a break today and tomorrow during the day, but we do see storms start to pick back up Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and unfortunately in the same area that already has seen a lot of rainfall. Now, main threats for these storms on Tuesday, that's hail and stronger wind gusts. Wednesday, that threat starts to increase slightly as we start to see maybe the possibility for another round of tornadoes, but still very low likelihood for that. But if you're starting your day tomorrow, it's going to be pretty nice. Some clouds start off, but other than that, mostly sunny during the day. Temperatures getting up to nearly 70 degrees by noon, and we'll take a future look at the storms coming in on Tuesday. So this is 6:30 p.m. Been mostly a sunny day. Temperatures really nice into the near 80s. Storms start to roll in those northwestern counties, so southeast Kansas is going to see some rain again, and by 10 p.m. Yates Center is getting those storms. They're going to push in, and then they'll start to shift off to the east, and we see still pretty strong, but it's about 4 a.m. Then they'll start to weaken, and we'll see some stronger storms, still heavy rain, but that main threat will be out of there by then. So this is 7:30 in the morning, still some rain in the area. They will continue to shift off, and by early afternoon will clear out, but we do have another round of storms coming in Wednesday night. So if you're planning your week, we've got storms Tuesday night, storms Wednesday night, and thunderstorms all day on Thursday. That's going to be where our main severe threat is, but we had a nice little break on Friday.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, coming up, we're going to have some tips to save money on your summer travel plans. Memorial Day, the unofficial start of summer, is just around the corner, and it's not too late to book a summer trip and still save money. Jen Sullivan has tips on ways to cut costs.
Does summer have you dreaming of white beaches or perhaps an exotic getaway? There's still time to book a trip and save.
This is going to be another busy summer of travel.
Melanie Fish is a travel expert with Expedia. When it comes to domestic travel, she recommends these tips. Book your trip 21 to 60 days out. Doing that can save you about 15% on average. Travel on a Tuesday, you'll find better deals. And 4th of July week is the busiest and most expensive time to travel. When it comes to international trips, Fish recommends booking 30 to 60 days out. Traveling on a Monday can help you save as well. And traveling in August instead of June can save you about $250. If you're heading to Italy, be aware of a new fee to enter Venice. Day trippers will have to pay $5.45 per person. And by the way, Fish says you can maximize your trip to Italy and other European destinations by taking lots of day trips.
Europe has a lot of great train options, so you can stay in one place and take short trips to other places.
If you're looking for a tropical destination, you can score some good deals this summer.
Summer is actually considered off-season, so you actually can travel there for better value than in, say, January.
Fish says to be aware of the start of hurricane season when booking, and watch out for hidden resort fees that can rack up a bigger bill at the end end of your vacation. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Well, a Philadelphia-based bank is the first FDIC-insured bank to fail in 2024. Republic First Bank had its assets seized Friday night, with Fulton Bank taking over its business immediately. The failure could cost the Federal Deposit Insurance Fund some $667 million. United Auto Workers Union reached a last-minute agreement with Daimler Truck to avoid a strike of thousands of workers. The tentative 4-year deal covers 7,000 workers in North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee who manufacture trucks and buses. UAW's president says the new contract includes 25% pay increases over the next 4 years and profit sharing. Union members still have to vote to approve the deal. Up next, giant pandas are officially returning to the U.S. We'll have details on the new agreement. China has signed an agreement to send 2 giant pandas to the San Diego Zoo. The goal is to start a 10-year international giant panda conservation cooperation. The 2 pandas, a male and a female, will be sent to the U.S. accompanied by Chinese expert breeders and veterinarians. The Chinese organization says the zoo is renovating and upgrading the enclosures to create a larger living space for them. This is the first time China has granted new panda loans in the U.S. in 2 decades. Guess I'm planning a trip to San Diego. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. A Joplin father speaks out after the school district notified him their bus routes have changed for the last month of the school year. Plus, why driving around high water barricades could cost you more than you think.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Some parents and students in Joplin are seeing changes to their bus routes. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on how families are handling this sudden change.
No problems, no issues. And then here recently, matter of fact, last Wednesday, received a letter stating that they will no longer be able to ride the bus.
For more than 2 years, Nicholas Hyatt's sons have been registered and riding the bus to school. But last week, Hyatt received a letter from the Joplin School's Transportation Department informing him that his son's bus stop was found to be in a no-bus zone, meaning students are expected to be able to walk. The letter informed him that starting now, Hyatt must find alternate transportation for his son.
Concerned about how I'm going to get them back home safely. I'm not big on them walking.
The head of the Joplin School's Department of Transportation says the department regularly goes through their system and finds students who should be walking instead of riding the bus. He says the district is doing so to ensure they are being as cost-effective as possible. The department says they try to give families 4 to 5 days notice before students are no longer able to ride. But Hyatt says for many parents that just isn't enough time.
I'm just a single father, and I also work out of Neosho, so it makes it a little bit harder. We recently just moved up here 3 years ago. There's not a lot of family help around here for myself, and I'm sure it's the same thing for other parents around the community.
For now, Hyatt says he will be using his lunch break to drive from Neosho to pick up his son from school. Reporting in Joplin, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Well, Joplin Schools Department of Transportation says they are continuously looking for ways to make their system more efficient. Stopping students from riding who live within their walk zone is just one way of doing that. The City of Carthage today hosted a special meeting to discuss next steps in efforts to remove the city administrator and impeach the mayor. Council today moved forward with a request for proposal for legal guidance on their next moves. The request could bring in an independent law firm or mean hiring a new city attorney after Carthage's resigned earlier this month.
My personal preference, I would prefer to have an attorney hired by the city. The firm could be a fine option, but I think having that same person, that same consistency for city staff and all involved, that makes more sense.
Well, the council's next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, May 14th, though they discussed holding another special meeting before then. We'll keep you posted. Protests on college campuses nationwide are falling into chaos. The demonstrations forced at least one school to cancel graduation. Fox News national correspondent Brian Elinas has more from New York City.
Student protests are threatening to cancel some college commencement ceremonies across the U.S. as the Israel-Hamas war continues to divide campuses. The University of Southern California said it would scrap all outside speakers during this year's commencement ceremony. Meanwhile, George Washington University's anti-Israel protests have remained calm, but demonstrators have torn down police barricades. The school says they are violating the university's rules of conduct and behavior.
We're seeing people calmly protesting, sitting down. When we see escalation is when the police forces come in. That's when we see escalation.
Columbia University has failed to reach an agreement with anti-Israel protesters that have dominated their campus for more than 10 days. But the university says it will not call the cops on them.
There are certainly people who are peaceful on the lawn, but there's a lot of this growing like threatening culture that's taking place on campus and especially off campus, right outside the gates.
University President Manoush Shafiq says Columbia will not divest or cut its financial ties with Israel or companies that do business with Israel, a core demand from the student protest organizers. The university said it offered to make financial investments in Gaza and offered to be more transparent about its investments. The last day of classes at Columbia University is today. Commencement is on May 15th. President Shafiq says it will happen on campus. In New York City, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
Well, a bit later, executives from some of the top tech companies in the world join a government panel discussing how we can prevent attacks from AI.
Well, I hope everyone stayed safe this weekend. It's been a very chaotic weekend storm-wise, but luckily we are in a little bit of a lull in between storm systems. So we've got a nice sunset shot of downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Center. I haven't seen this sunset in a while. We've had storms every night for the last few nights. And we do have flood warnings still in effect. Allen County, Neosho County, Wilson, and Woodson got some flood warnings in effect until late Wednesday afternoon, not to mention the Fort Scott area as well, still in that flood advisory and flood warning in those areas. Now, we've also had a few tornadoes. Springfield has done their surveys or has started to, and they've marked a couple tornadoes out in Uniontown, EF0, Stotesbury, EF1. So pretty weekend tornadoes, but they did go about 3 miles, had some damage to houses on the sides, shillings as well, and mostly just tree damage, trees uprooted and branches broken off. Now, Wichita has been dealing with a lot of the floods in this area, so they haven't finished their surveying yet. We did have confirmed tornado touchdowns out in Fredonia and Independence, so they have yet to do the surveys for those tornadoes, but we'll update you as those start to roll in. We've had a break today and tomorrow during the day, but we do see storms start to pick back up Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and unfortunately in the same area that already has seen a lot of rainfall. Now, main threats for these storms on Tuesday, that's hail and stronger wind gusts. Wednesday, that threat starts to increase slightly as we start to see maybe the possibility for another round of tornadoes, but still very low likelihood for that. But if you're starting your day tomorrow, it's going to be pretty nice. Some clouds start off, but other than that, mostly sunny during the day. Temperatures getting up to nearly 70 degrees by noon, and we'll take a future look at the storms coming in on Tuesday. So this is 6:30 p.m. Been mostly a sunny day. Temperatures really nice into the near 80s. Storms start to roll in those northwestern counties, so southeast Kansas is going to see some rain again, and by 10 p.m. Yates Center is getting those storms. They're going to push in, and then they'll start to shift off to the east, and we see still pretty strong, but it's about 4 a.m. Then they'll start to weaken, and we'll see some stronger storms, still heavy rain, but that main threat will be out of there by then. So this is 7:30 in the morning, still some rain in the area. They will continue to shift off, and by early afternoon we'll clear out, but we do have another round of storms coming in Wednesday night. So if you're planning your week, We've got storms Tuesday night, storms Wednesday night, and thunderstorms all day on Thursday. That's going to be where our main severe threat is, but we had a nice little break on Friday.
All right, we're all going to be singing the old Rain, Rain, Go Away song here pretty soon. With all the rain and flooded roads in the area, we wanted to know what penalties you could face if you're trapped by high waters and need to be rescued from your vehicle. Chris Bryant spoke with law enforcement and says at the end of the day, it comes down to officer discretion.
We say it all the time, turn around, don't drown when it comes to flooding and these low water crossings like this. And the Missouri State Highway Patrol says that these barricades are put up for a reason because of the dangerous situation.
We put them up for a reason, leave them alone. Don't move them, don't go around them. We put them there for people's safety because there's a reason why you shouldn't be going across the roadway.
For MoDOT, it knows that rain and flooding can do a number on the roads.
It doesn't take a whole lot of water to wash a car away, but you don't know whether it's washed the road out, whether it's washed the culvert out. In the Northeast, we had a bridge, collapse because of the amount of water.
That's why those barricades and warnings are so important.
A barricade protecting the driver from what's ahead of that, whether it's a complete road closure because of construction or inundated because of flood waters.
If you drive around a barricade, you can be ticketed for failure to obey a traffic control device. The penalties vary county to county and judge to judge.
When we ignore that and manipulate that, molest it, if you will, to get through it, that in itself is a fine. Whether it's a mail-in fine or it's going to be a mandatory appearance, a CNI most times is a mandatory appearance, depending on what can be articulated by the arresting officer, if you will.
Sergeant Mike McClure with the Missouri State Highway Patrol says on roads that flood that don't have barricades, the situation becomes more situational and discretionary whether you get a ticket or not.
It's going to be the discretion of the circumstances, case by case. If it turns out that it can be shown that this was negligent on you, I did this purposefully, thinking I could make it.
In the city of Springfield,
it is illegal to go around any barrier for any reason, and by doing that, you could be issued a citation by an officer.
even on roads you're familiar with, the dangers are still there.
If you don't know how deep it is or where the bottom is, turn around, find a different way, wait until the storm passes and the water clears out.
And if you end up needing help, don't let the fear of a ticket be the reason you don't call.
Don't make a bad situation, don't make a bad decision even worse by not calling. We're going to come help you.
That's right. And remember, turn around, don't drown. FEMA says 6 inches of moving water has the potential to knock you off your feet. And a foot of water can sweep a vehicle, even a large SUV, off the road. Coming up in sports, the Chiefs signed Travis Kelce to a long-term contract extension. Plus, Columbus and Riverton baseball play a doubleheader on Pittsburgh State's field. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Riverton High School baseball enters today the #2 ranked team in Class 3A. The Rams have won 8 of their last 9 games, which brings their record up to 18-3 on the year. And this afternoon, they play a doubleheader at Pitt State. Riverton baseball facing Columbus at Al Ortolani Field. Game 1 of a doubleheader. We start top of the first. 1 out, bases loaded. Noah Harper gets a ground ball, which leads to a 4-6-3 double play. Rams get out of the inning, allowing no runs. Bottom of the second now, 2 outs. Carter Woodcock hits a line drive into right field. That'll get down, and a run will score. The Titans score 3 in the second. They take a 3-1 lead. Top of the third inning, Riverton responds. Will Mann sends one into shallow right field. That drops down. Leads cut to 1. Bottom of the third, Columbus with runners on first and third. 2 outs. Ben Major caught in a rundown, but while he's being chased, another run scores. The Rams come back to tie it at 4, but the Titans score the final 3 runs of this one. They take the front end of the doubleheader 7-4. And the second game, another Columbus win. This time Titans dominate 9-1 the final score. They give Riverton its 4th and 5th losses of the season. The same day, Columbus and Frontenac, only teams from Kansas to beat the Rams this year. Meanwhile, over in Neosho, Crowder baseball has its final regular season home game this afternoon. Rough Rider head coach Travis Lallement enters the day with 799 career wins. An opportunity for Coach Lallement to pick up career win number 800 this afternoon as 8th-ranked Crowder baseball hosts Neosho County Community College. Now, this is Crowder's autism awareness game. McKenna Kaler throws out the ceremonial first pitch before the game between the Rough Riders and Panthers. She's a sophomore at East Newton High School attending the Link Transition Program. However, the Panthers spoil the festivities. They win 8-5. Coach Lallement will have to wait just a little bit longer to get his 800th victory. The Rough Riders regular season over. They host Metropolitan Community College in a sub-regional best-of-3 series this weekend. First 2 games are on Friday. Over in the NFL, Chiefs and Travis Kelce agree to a 2-year extension today. The 3-time Super Bowl champion was already under contract through the end of the 2025 season, but this 2-year deal will keep him in Kansas City through the end of the 2027 season. At that point, he'll be 39 years old, and according to NFL Network, this new deal will pay Kelce just over $34 million in the final 2 years, which makes Kelce the highest paid tight end in the NFL. In the NBA, the Thunder have made quick work of the Pelicans thus far in their first-round playoff series. This evening, OKC has the chance to complete a 4-game sweep. Game 4 going on right now. The Thunder trying to finish off the sweep. Pelicans not going down easy, though. The game is tied at 80 with just under 8 minutes left in regulation. If OKC loses tonight, there will be a Game 5 in this best-of-7. That'll be in Oklahoma City on Wednesday night. That's a look at sports. Back with more news after this.
As concern over the rapid growth of artificial intelligence continues, the U.S. government is asking leading AI companies for advice. The Department of Homeland Security is creating a panel with CEOs from some of the world's largest companies and industries, including Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI. Michael Yoshida explains how the government hopes to use these great minds to prevent potential disasters.
When it comes to assessing the threats of artificial intelligence, experts say the trick is to sort science fiction from potential reality.
The more immediate risks are things like these tools being used to craft cyber attacks or to power misinformation campaigns.
That's why the Department of Homeland Security is forming a 22-member AI Safety and Security Board that includes the CEOs of major tech companies.
So the idea is to give critical infrastructure in the US the tools, the expertise, and the advice needed to harness AI.
This is a technology that's clearly very powerful.
Speaking at the World Economic Forum in January, OpenAI CEO and AI Safety and Security Board member Sam Altman addressed the fears around the technology.
We cannot say with certainty exactly what's going to happen. It could go very wrong.
After numerous high-profile hearings and closed-door sessions, Congress has yet to pass a targeted national AI law. The Safety and Security Board stems from President Joe Biden's 2023 executive action, calling for a cross-industry body to make recommendations. But there are concerns about placing CEOs on the panel.
They're surely concerned about safety and reliability of the systems, but they also are looking to promote their own technologies.
The panel will also include leading AI academics, government officials, civil rights lawyers, and defense contractors. I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Well, coming up, we're going to check out the newest entertainment options for you to enjoy at home this week. A popular high school crew, superheroes, and a pop superstar are among the new digital DVD and music releases available to add to your home library. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin runs down the list of what's new in home entertainment.
Get in, loser. Regina George and the Plastics top this week's list of what's new in home entertainment with the 2024 version of Mean Girls, based on the musical, which was inspired by the 2004 comedy classic. In addition, the original film celebrates its 20th anniversary with a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray release. Dakota Johnson leads the superhero origin story Madam Web as a New York City paramedic who uses her clairvoyant abilities to protect 3 young women with powerful destinies. Hi, The drama Ordinary Angels, starring Hilary Swank and Alan Ritchson, is based on the true story of a woman helping a widower whose daughter is in need of a life-saving liver transplant. Johnny Knoxville tries to save his rehab facility by coaching the house's softball team to win a cash prize in the comedy drama Sweet Dreams. The Promised Land is a historical epic set in 18th century Denmark, starring Mads Mikkelsen as a war hero battling a villainous nobleman trying to stop him from building a settlement in the name of the king.
Where do we start?
Small screen favorites to own, Season 1 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, featuring Anthony Mackie taking over the Captain America shield. Season 1 of Andor, the origin story of Rogue One's rebel leader, played by Diego Luna. Moon Knight Season 1, which centers on Oscar Isaac as superhero Mark Spector. And the complete series of Obi-Wan Kenobi, starring Ewan McGregor as the Jedi Master. For music fans, singer Sia's 10th album, Reasonable Woman, features collaborations with Paris Hilton and Kylie Minogue. And pop superstar Dua Lipa drops her third record, Radical Optimism. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of Star Wars themed Corgi Parade. How cute, in Russia. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.